Capricorn for the fall of 2016. I'll start off here with number 1. It's 26, love without condition. So you're in a situation where you are putting conditions on your love, and you need to maybe not do that. You are having a hard time maybe showing affection because of some barrier that you see that is before you in that way, and you need to just look at things from maybe a different point of view. So yeah, a lot of warmth there, but just needing the conditions to be off the table. What's crossing you is knowing that you belong. So maybe there's a sense of that love going to someone who you maybe don't feel that you belong. You don't feel that is either you're worthy or they're worthy, one or the other, you know, feeling kind of mismatched in that way. And that is a challenge, so that's something you need to get over, something you need to get past, something you need to work on. What is flooding the reading is do not fear the unknown, number 7. So there's a sense of looming with you, I think, that is overseeing the whole thing. But yet there's some darkness here, but it's all kind of magical darkness. It's not really stuff that is really too fearful, too fear-inducing. I think there's a lot of maybe negative images that you have and you carry with you, but I think there's the fear itself can be absolutely demolished, because there's, I get a sense that these Capricorns are really from a place of strength here. But I'm going to carry on. What's in your passing? Nourish the soul. So basically, I feel like there was a time for you that you had where you were kind of filling up your cup in that way. You were getting filled to the brim. But I feel like that time is passing. It's time to get back to work, to get into things, to get in gear. So not so much time to really pay attention to the things that you favor so much as going in the direction that you need to go, I guess. What's carrying on here in your near future is seeking the lesson. So a lot of the signs here are, you know, being prompted to pay attention to the lesson. Where is it coming from? How are you learning it? And what is it going to stick? I think seeking the lesson really means you have to be, I mean, they have a wolf here looking, you know, with the illumination. So wolves are sly and they're very much loners, but at the same time they're enlightened and they're looking outwards. So that it's like there's some part of you that I think needs to go inside in order, like maybe to become that lone wolf, to really figure out what it is in the direction that you need to go, to be illuminated by that. Yeah, like I keep getting singled out of the pack. Maybe that's the way you're feeling, you know. Maybe that's what you're letting lead. It's like I'm a wolf, but I'm not with the pack. I'm not part of that. And feeling separate. But I feel like if you really just look, and there's lessons, and there's what brought about the lesson, you know, the energy within it. And I think that we might be scattered in our thoughts about what it is that we carry forward. You know, we're going, yeah, okay, this is because of that, but we're not carrying it forward. Heed the messenger is in your distant future. So this is a solid card. So it's almost like maybe up until now you've kind of dealt with things on your own. That lone wolf part of you is kind of, and it's almost evolving to a point where you are going to start listening to your intuition and people about you. And I think Capricorns can be very driven to a center where there's like, I ain't going to listen to nobody, they're not making sense. And maybe it's you that's not making sense at this point. So now you're realizing that and coming outwards and going, yeah, okay, well, let's try this and see what happens. I mean, because the Capricorns are not stupid, and neither are they going to take advice loosely, you know. But maybe just kind of too much on their own thought process and they maybe we're not moving in the right direction. So heed the messengers is really just saying, you know, look to someone outside of yourself for these, for a source of something, whether it's your intuition, and that really is within yourself, but looking to messengers that come at you and say, okay, this is what I think, or this is where I think you should go. And I mean, I think you have to search your soul for that answer, but I feel like you've been alone for a while in that way, in the decision-making way, in the decision process way. I think you've been alone enough and made decisions from that lone wolf spot that now you would have more of a basis to go outwards and be able to, you know, take other people's opinions in that way. So heed the messengers, and I feel like there are going to be a few for you coming at you, giving you opinions, and maybe giving you better things than you could come up with on your own, in your own way. Next in line is know your power. I'm going to get back to that one. Then we have show that you care. Getting a sense that some of these Capricorns are not adept at going outward, or maybe not wanting to go outward. Whatever it may be, there's an essence there that you have to really go and show that you care. Show and be aware of where you want to put that, I guess. You were born to create. So this is one of those magical cards that kind of is attached to the fear. I feel like the fear is really what holds this creation card back. I think if you get lost in the fear or get lost in the muddle, and I don't feel it's heavy. I don't feel it's that heavy. I feel like it's lighter, that you really can get yourself out of this. You can get yourself out of it just within it, you know, just a flicker of a switch, just one little notch on the dial you have to turn. And I feel like maybe, oh man, manifesting abilities are becoming apparent to you, but your fear of manifesting the wrong thing can be perpetually keeping you in a cycle of fearing to move forward. It's the fear that's just overrunning your thoughts. So you really just have to get rid of the fear and work on the happy thoughts and the good things, and quit looking at the dreadful side. Quit being a pessimist. These Sagittarians and these Capricorns are on the pessimist side. And even though the Sagittarians at this point, at the end of their rope, they're, you know, it's working for them. These Capricorns, there's a lot of mystical things I think that could happen to them and for them, and really realizations that they can make if they lift that veil. And for some reason that veil is just tight on them. They're just sunk right down with it. So you were born to create is really that, you know, all that power that she has. You can have that power, manifest that ability, and then your end card is trust in magic. And I feel like there's, you know, even though I don't get a sense of really anything dark and dreary about this reading, but I do get a sense that you get very heady and very bogged down in those thoughts, and that is really preventing from a lot of magical stuff happening to you. A lot of great creative things that could really whirl you into like happiness. And I don't know if it's a fear of happiness that that's a weird thing to say, but that just came into my head. It's like, I don't know if there's a fear of happiness and bliss, like you just don't know how to handle that. And if you got that, how would that be? Or, you know, would that, you know, I don't know, like a fear of happiness. That's what I'm getting. But trust in the magic. Trust that there's a residual for you. And I feel like there's a special spot for these Capricorns, because they've been just kind of ramming into things just like those Aries have. They've been ramming down these doors. And, you know, I think their intentions were good. They're just not realizing the power that they had, I think, along the way. And that's the things, really, you got to look inside and see what kind of power you had laying there to begin with. Because when they were ramming down the doors, they felt powerless, but they were not powerless. They were powerful, and they could have been destructive. They could have been, but they didn't give themselves the credit to take that in, I guess, in a certain sense. I'm kind of making this a little more heady than normal, but there's a certain sense of power there, and a longing to show that you care, and manifesting abilities. I mean, it's there. It's like there's things that can happen. It's just a matter of belief in that, and your mind's playing tricks on you. Your mind is doing one over on you, and you really got to get through that. And a lot of it has to do, I don't know if it's the busying or just the routine. There's a routine in your mind frame. There's a routine in the way that you deal with things. And that routine needs to be shaken up. It needs to be twisted around. Needs to be seen from a different direction. And I think the way you're going to find out is through these messengers. Through these messengers, you're going to find magic. Because once you listen to their point of view, I think you can get to where you want to be in those places that you really thought that you could not master. There's certain areas of your life, I think, that you feel like, oh man, there's no way I can get there. But the thought crossed your path for a reason. The thought goes in your mind and you shoot it out with doubt, but it goes across your path for a reason. So you just have to, quit spitting out the wrong thoughts. I think you and Aries are a little bit confused in what it is that Aries are a little more on the egocentric side, but I get the Capricorns are smarter than that, but for some reason are not letting it go. They're just not letting it go, and it may be just a fear of showing that you care, I guess, showing that you care, or a fear of success and what to do with it. There might be a deep-seated, that's kind of a goofy thing to say, but I think for some it really is. When you really dissect it piece by piece, you'll see that there's a fear of being in that successful position, whether it's career, family, romance, being in a position where you're successful and happy, and maybe not knowing what to do with yourself at that point. There's certain lifestyles like the Aries. Capricorn is an earth sign, so they should be a little more muted in that way. They're not so fiery, but getting a sense that they're a little bit fired up in the mind. And they're cool on the outside, but they're fired up in the mind, and these are things that need to be calmed and cooled, and really it's the outside world that you kind of have to. There was one sign that I said, well, they got to listen to the outside world, and it's the opposite for Capricorns. They really do have to take into account, because I think they've got the people that are surrounding them at this point, I think are people that are seeing clearly, have clear vision of what you want and what you want to manifest, and they know how to help you do that. Even if it's something that you think that you can't get, or you can't that you can't get, or you can't see coming, or whatever it may be, whatever. There's the vision, there's a mishap in your mind of how it's working, and you need to kind of take other people's opinions for your own at this point. And I usually never say that to anyone, but I get a sense that these Capricorns have a little bit of a solid foundation around them. And this Capricorn, you have a lot of strength. You've nourished your soul. It's like you've got everything you need, but for some reason you're holding back, and that reason is kind of still hidden. I did an animal clarification card, and I got the chameleon. It says stay in the background and adapt to the situation rather than be conspicuous and attempting to direct the course of events. So maybe that is what it is. That control. If you get happy and where's my control going to be? I don't know. I don't know where this sits. But there's something holding back these Capricorns. Man, I'm going to look on the bottom of the deck. It says stay strong. So there's a weakness that they're feeling, and it's coming from a center that is really deep down, I think. It's really deep down because I'm not even getting a hold of it here, and I'm feeling pretty powerful in this, but it's really deep. It's really, I think it's really a sense of just not belonging. I think, know that you belong. I mean, I think it's your crossing card. It's just you're not feeling like it's right, like things are right, like there's something wrong. So you just need to figure out what that is, and stay strong through it, and you'll get there. I think the bottom line here is that you just need to know your strength, because I think you're stronger than you think you are, and you're certainly as strong as other people think you are, because other people think you're stronger than you actually are, and so there's a bit of an illusion there. But I also feel like you kind of have a lone wolf mentality, and I truly mean that as a mentality, that you really don't give up your thoughts for anyone, and I think that is kind of a control issue, but at the same time I think it's more of an issue where you're just not getting a good sense of where you're at. You know, you're not getting a good rounded sense of where you're at. Like, usually I don't say take other people's opinions, because you really got to go within your intuition. But I feel like there's a mix up there. I feel like there's an off balance of that. I feel like, you know, like I said, Aries is getting their intuition mixed up with their ego. But yet I get in here, there's a sense of ego, but I don't feel that's where the confusion lies. I feel it's between intuition and something else. And I'm not sure what that is. I feel like it has to do with kind of this mystical side of things, spiritual side of things. Maybe there's a spiritual yearning that is being mixed up. I don't know. I can't pinpoint it, but there's something there that needs to be worked on. It's pretty deep. I would say it's of a spiritual nature, but more to the point of really how you think things work. How does my life work with, you know, in this direction, and that kind of thing. And I mean, flipping over the bottom of the deck here, stay strong. It's just a matter of you pulling upon your strength. I think you just need to go to your strength. Stay out of your head and start to go outwards and get, not necessarily get opinions of others, gain their viewpoints, take it into account, and really intellectualize. And I think, like, if you're going to be in your head, be smart about it. I think I'm trying to understand here the fear of the unknown. There's a lot of real mystery there. You know, it may just be fear, period. Just fear. So there's a lot more fear than I'm thinking that is worth here, because you have the strength, you have the spirit, and you have the smarts. You know, like you're seeing that there's lessons here that need to be followed and need to be looked into. And I mean, I'm getting a sense of a highness where, you know, you're looking down on this. Yeah, I understand, but there's something holding you back from acting, and it's, I mean, showing that you care. Maybe there's a sense of being vulnerable to a point where you're going to be rejected. I think it's deeper than that myself. I think it's deeper than that. But you were born to create and then trust in magic. So you really have to go through a sense of creation to mystify yourself out of the... It's almost like you have to take a detour to get somewhere over here. Not where you were going, but over here. And then you start unfolding this spiritual side of things, and then suddenly I think that will have to do with the fear. It will bring you to the fear, and your strength will come when you least expect it, and you won't have any problems, you know, because knowing your power is there, and it's in between the messenger and the show that you care. So there's a little bit of a balance of taking others' strength for your own. And I think for you that's a weakness. I think that for Capricorns, You know, you don't want to take other opinions. You want to make your own, and you tread your own path, and that's the way that it is. But sometimes other people can come up with things that you just do not have in your catalog. You know, it's just not there. So that is really, it's just seeing from that side that you haven't saw before. And you don't even have to act on it. You just have to think about it. You just have to heed it. You just have to let it set in your mind and really intellectualize it. Take your emotions out of it, intellectualize, and then go from there. And I feel like along the path here, there's some magical stuff coming up for you, and it's all good. I mean, you're in that creation manifestation phase, and then it's like the next one's trust magic. Why? Because you can do it. It's there for you. It's opening up for you. So these Capricorns are really in a magical place where they can really have whatever they want and attain whatever they want. But there's a big block, and it's way down. I think is way down into who they are and what they may know. You know, looking at this, you don't know. I know exactly what it is, but they just won't deal with it or don't want to take it outward, and then that's where the block sits, and it will sit and rot, and then you just don't get nowhere. So you want to keep going on the path. So you just really have to go into those things and don't fear the unknown, because the unknown could be better. I mean, it's never worse. It's always better. So that's that. But yeah, and the chameleon card in the background. So there is a sense of looming. You're looming on these things. It's like you're kind of gathering and taking in information in a certain sideswiped kind of way. So adapt rather than being conspicuous and attempting to direct the course of events. So a little bit of control issues for these Capricorns, which is kind of, yeah, they like to be leading the way. They like to be, so if their nose could be at a joint, if they're not really respected and thought of highly. And they just need to kind of, I guess, get out of themselves and really, yeah, not only seeking the lesson, but taking the advice of others. And like I said, it's not usually my advice to do that. But I feel like these Capricorns have some solid people around them and some good outlets that need to be brought upon. Yeah. I guess maybe you don't have to take the advice. Just take it into account. Take it down and take it in and see how it sits, And then, don't fear the unknown. So if there's fear that comes from that, don't, yeah, it's easy to say that, though. Don't let it rule you. Don't let it. And another version is just showing that you care, kind of being open-hearted, leading with that foot. Showing that you care is being compassionate, being gentle, and I mean, she's just really reaching out for that dragon, and I get a sense that I mean, that dragon could destroy her, but she trusts. So that's the direction she's going to go. And I mean, you're born to create. It's all good in a weird kind of way. It's evolution. It's just a matter of conquering some fears and really letting go of some of the control conditions that you are putting upon yourself and others, really, because you may be putting more stress upon yourself than anybody else could put on you, and then therefore not going outward from that viewpoint. But in the meantime, others would be a lot easier on you than you are on yourself, and that's really where it's coming from. So there's a lot of inner workings, but at the same time there's a lot of help around you, so just indulge in that when you can. And I feel like Capricorns can be on the cantankerous side. They can kind of get belligerent when they should really be listening, and they can kind of get obstinate when they should really be moving in with compassion. And so they're that earth sign is kind of got things a little mixed up in that way. I think there's some mix-ups there that are shaking them to the wrong side of the pinball machine. It's like going down the middle. It's like no. So there's just a little bit of disorientation there, and I'm not too sure. I'm not getting a clear sign as to what can bring them out of that. Really not, other than taking the advice, not, like I said, not necessarily taking, just intellectually soak it up. See how it feels. And then deal with that, you know. They could have the answers and they could be not the answers. They could be problems, you know, more problems there. But you really have to listen to someone outside of your own head, because I think you're a little bit in your head. You're not ungrounded. I mean, you're an earth sign, so you're solid. But there's a lot of different thinking going on that you, I think, on your own realize if you take that outward, people are gonna say, yeah, that's not right. You know this, and you go out with it, but you still let it, you know, give it the power to roam around in your mind in that way. But yet you know it's kind of wrong. So it's almost like that obstinate ram, you know. It's the same thing, like Capricorn. You know, it's just on the wrong side of things, but not really seeing a graceful way out, I guess. You're seeing more of a defeatist kind of an attitude, and you just got to get past that and go, you know what, defeatist or not, I have to get out of this circle. And it's really just the thought process and the habitual, a lot of habitual stuff. So anyway, that is Capricorn for the fall of 2016. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it cleared up some things. I tell you, it made more questions in my head for Capricorns. But in the meantime, know your power and just don't doubt that. That's all. That's it. So, stay strong. Yeah, so this is the last of my series for the fall. I don't know what the heck I'm going to be doing. But from now on, I think I'll be doing these seasonal horoscopes. So every 3-4 months, I'll be putting these things out, and hopefully they hit for people, and hopefully they help for people. Yeah, so hopefully everybody got something out of all the readings. And I did a couple early releases there. I think it was Virgo and Scorpio. They were requests, so those are for fall as well. So yeah, I hope all is well, and everyone has a good fall and productive fall. That's what I hope for everyone. I wish that they're productive and lucrative. So anyway, that is the reading for Capricorn for the fall of 2016. So take care and be happy.